Hi, this is Dan Peterson with freeonlinecalculatoruse.com. In this video, I will demonstrate how to use the lender loan balance calculator to create a revised amortization schedule to account for extra, intermittent, skipped, or uneven payments made on a loan. This loan balance calculator can be used to track the repayment of funds you borrowed or to track the repayments of funds you borrowed to someone else. Plus, if you're using a newer version of your web browser software, one that supports HTML5 Local Storage, you can even save your entries in between visits for any number of loans. The first step to using the loan balance calculator is to give the loan a unique name. For example, I will enter Chevy Malibu. If your browser supports local storage, you can also add multiple loans to the drop-down list and then save their individual payment entries between visits. I'll demonstrate adding a loan once I complete the top section of the form. The next step is to enter the dollar amount of the principal balance that coincides with the month and year you would like to start the payment schedule. In other words, you can start loan payment revisions at any point in the loan repayment. For my demonstration, I'm going to use a starting principal balance of $6,014.69. Note that it's best to enter only numeric characters into the currency or percent fields. Numeric characters would be the digits 0 through 9 and a single decimal point if needed. Next, enter the annual interest rate as stated on the original loan agreement. For this loan, I'll enter an annual interest rate of 6.99%. Next, enter the original loan term in number of whole months. I say whole months because the calculator won't handle decimal portions of a month. Also, note that you can use the number of years field to have the calculator calculate the number of whole months for you. So for my demonstration, I'll enter 3 years. Next, enter the original monthly principal and interest payment. This means that if you're entering a mortgage, be sure to exclude any portion of the payment that is designated to be set aside for property taxes and insurance. Since I know what the monthly payment is, I'll enter $185.68. Note that if you're not sure how much the monthly principal and interest payment is, you can leave the payment field blank and the calculator will calculate the payment amount for you based on the entered principal, interest rate, and number of months. So if I clear out the payment field and click the Create Editable Payment Schedule button, you'll see that the calculator will fill in the payment amount for me. Next, set the month and 4-digit year the loan payments were or are scheduled to start. For my car loan, let's assume the first payment was due in April of 2016. Next, set the month and 4-digit year the final payment will be made. Note that if payments have been skipped or underpaid, be sure to pad the ending year with enough time to allow the loan to be paid off. So just to be safe, I'm going to add an extra 12 months to the 36-month loan. Therefore, I will select March for the ending month and enter 2020 for the ending year. Next, choose the amortization method for the loan. Select U.S. rule if it's illegal in your state to charge interest on unpaid interest. Selecting this method will mean that all unpaid interest will be escrowed or banked and added to the end of the loan payoff. Otherwise, if you select normal, then any unpaid interest will be added to the principal as it occurs. This will result in charging interest on unpaid interest, which is also referred to as negative amortization. If you're not sure which method is valid in your state, be sure to check with your state's lending authority to find out which amortization method you should use. For my demonstration, I'll start by using the U.S. rule method. Now that I have the top section of the form completed, I can now add the loan to my web browser's local storage. To add a loan, select New from the Loan Name menu and then click the Add button. Notice that the newly saved loan is now selected and 2 additional buttons have been added, a Save Changes button and a Delete button. Note that anytime you make any changes to the loan's payments, be sure to scroll back up to this row and click the Save Changes button. Also, if you'd like to clear out all entered and edited payment amounts for the selected loan, click the Clear Saved Payments button. Or, to clear your local storage of all loans and all of their entered and edited payment amounts, click the Clear All Saved Data button. Please keep in mind that your data will be saved to your web browser's local storage feature, which is only available in newer versions of web browser software. And by web browser software, I'm referring to the software you're using to view web pages. This includes software such as Safari, Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, and so on. At this point, I'd like to point out that there are a few drawbacks to using local storage to save your loan data. First, in order to reload your loan data into the calculator, you will need to have access to the calculator from the same web browser and device you were on when you saved it. For example, if you save the data while using Safari on your tablet, you won't be able to load the saved loan data when accessing from your personal computer. Second, in most cases, each website you visit is limited to storing a maximum of 5 megabytes of data to your local storage. So if you try to save more than that, the data may be truncated without warning. Third, if you upgrade your existing web browser software, there's a chance your loan data will be lost. And finally, if for some reason your loan data gets corrupted, I won't be able to troubleshoot the problem since I have no way of accessing the loan data that is saved to your device. Note that if you want to avoid these local storage drawbacks, you can subscribe to the ad-free cloud version of the website. One of the bonus features is having the ability to save your calculator data to a secure online database that you can access from any device or web browser, regardless of which device and browser you were using when you saved it. Simply click the Actions button, give the loan a name, and then click the Save button to save the loan to your online database. And since it is an online database, I will be able to troubleshoot your saved data if anything goes wrong. Okay, back to using the free version of the calculator. After completing the top section and saving your loan variables, the next step is to click the Create Editable Payment Schedule button. Now before I show you how the editable payment schedule works, a word of caution. Once you create the payment schedule, if you then make any changes to the top of the calculator, you will need to recreate the payment schedule. This means your changes to the top will end up erasing any changes you made to the bottom. So please be certain you have the schedule exactly how you want it before you start making any changes to it. With that word of caution out of the way, as you can see, clicking the Create Editable Payment Schedule button will create a scrollable payment schedule wherein you can change any and all prescribed payment amounts to actual payments made. You can also use the Adjustments column to add extra payments or to charge loan fees. I'll now demonstrate how to make changes to the schedule for a few common payment scenarios. First, if the borrower skipped making a payment in June of 2016, I can simply clear the payment for that month. Note that the revised balance column, along with the loan totals, all change as I add and remove numeric characters to and from the payment fields. Also note that since I'm using the U.S. rule method of amortization, the revised balance column does not increase on skipped payment lines. Instead, the escrowed unpaid interest result grows to include the unpaid interest. Now I'll change the amortization method to normal so you can see the difference between the two methods. So now, if the borrower skipped making a payment in June of 2016 and I clear the payment for that month, you will see that the revised balance increases by the amount of the unpaid interest and nothing is escrowed to the end of the loan. You can also use the Adjustment column to add extra payment amounts and to charge late fees to the borrower. For example, if the borrower made an extra payment in the first month, I would simply enter $185.68 into the Adjustments column. Or, since the borrower missed the June payment, I could add a $25 late fee by entering -25 in the adjustments column for June. Note that late fees will be added to the loan balance for normal amortization, whereas they will be added to the unpaid interest total for U.S. rule amortization. Finally, if the borrower only made a partial payment of $100 in September, I would just change the payment amount to $100 for that month. Note that since the partial payment was enough to cover the interest due for that month, the revised balance is still reduced by what was left for principal after paying the interest due. Once you have the payment schedule up to date and you wish to save your entries, be sure to scroll to the top of the calculator and click the Save Changes button. If your loan data saved to your web browser, you should be able to refresh the page, choose the loan from the name menu, and see your data loaded into the calculator. Note that anytime during your editing of the schedule, you can scroll down and click the Show Revised Amortization Schedule button to see the interest and principal breakdown for each payment. In the case of my demonstration, I can see that the extra payment was applied in April, the late fee for the missed payment was applied in June, and the partial payment was applied in September. Looking at the tabulated results, we can see that the principal paid during the amortization period was $6,014.69. The total of the interest charges that will accrue during the selected repayment period will be $689.84. The balance owed as of last month of the selected repayment period is $0. The escrowed unpaid interest is $0, since the unpaid interest was added to the principal in the period it occurred. And the total owed at the end of the amortization period is also $0. Now, if you'd like to print out the revised payment schedule, simply click the Printer-Friendly Revised Amortization Schedule button. As you can see, this opens a separate window for printing the schedule. To print the report, either click File, Print on your web browser's menu, or you can click the Print button at the bottom of the report. Either method should open your printer dialog for printing. Note that if your printer software has a PDF feature, you can print the schedule to a PDF file that you can attach to emails or store on your hard drive. If you receive some value from using this calculator, I would greatly appreciate it if you could return the favor by giving the calculator a like, share, tweet, +1, or a pin. If you didn't receive any value from this calculator and/or you have a suggestion for improving it, please click the Show Calculator Feedback button to expand the feedback form and let me know. As you can see, much of the form is filled in for you. All you need to do is to give the calculator a grade, enter a reason for the grade, and if you have a question, enter it into this field along with your name and email address. Then enter the CAPTCHA word and click the Send button. With that, I sincerely thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Happy loan revising!